My brothers and sisters, my fellow casuals and sweatlords, welcome to Locked On Player, a gaming podcast where I talk about our favorite first-person shooter franchise, Call of Duty. Whether you're playing multiplayer or Warzone, there's always something to talk about, and I hope you will enjoy my discussions that I always have regarding this gaming franchise. This is episode 4, my name is Tom, also known as the Lanky Soldier, and here's what we're gonna be talking about today. Call of Duty Warzone, and more precisely the state of the game. 2 episodes ago we talked about Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, last episode we talked about Season 3 Reloaded, and today we're gonna be talking about the whole thing, the thing that changed Call of Duty forever, for better or worse. But before we do any of that, I just want to thank everyone as usual for sticking around and listening to my ramblings. And if you have this, if you have the time to leave a rating, please do, because it helps people to find the podcast. It makes the podcast look more legit and so on, because it's just some guy talking about Call of Duty. So if you really enjoy the ramblings I have or do whatever, please do leave a rating, especially on Spotify. It does help out, because comparing to other Call of Duty podcasts out there, Locked On Player is extremely new compared to those podcasts. So I just hope you're enjoying what I have to say, everything I'm discussing, so do leave a rating. It does help out. And like I said in the previous episode, new episode every Tuesday. We'll do our best to stick to that schedule. And so far we've been doing okay. So that's kind of all I want to say. New episodes every Tuesday. So far we've been doing pretty good. It's been a steady ship. So that's all I care about. So before we're gonna continue with our juicy conversations, about Call of Duty Warzone, if you listened to any Locked On Player episodes or any other gaming podcasts, the ones I host, I always do this bit called Housekeeping bit at the start of each episode, and it's because I have to inform new people that click on the podcast. I just to remind everyone how we do things here, that no one gets confused, that we enter the trenches of the Call of Duty franchise. So I just do simple announcements, simple reminders, so everyone on the same page, we know what's going on. So first and foremost, we have timecodes available in the description, so if you listen to this on Spotify or watch it on YouTube, timecodes should be there displayed on your screen on this episode. I understand you don't have a full hour to spend to some guy listening, talking about Call of Duty. I fully get that. So timecodes are there to make your listening experience so much better, so please do use it, because it's there for a reason. Timecodes are there for a reason. Of course, we have social media. We have that. I have that. It's in the description. I'm not a big fan of social media these days, but I do post something on those accounts. So if you have any of those, in the description, do follow me. Give me a follow, a like, whatever. Interact with me there. Just let me know that you're following me and so on. So you will also have a Google Forms document in the description. So whether you listen on Spotify, YouTube, or whatever, at the bottom in the description, there's a link to a Google Forms document, and that Google Forms document is there for you to give us feedback, questions, or straight up send us insults or compliments about me or the show. If you don't have a social media and you don't want to email us or whatever the case may be, you have no other way to contact us, Google Forms document is there to remove the friction between me and you as a listener, so you can talk to me directly and tell me everything that is on your mind. So you don't need a Google account or anything. You just click on that link and just type writing whatever is on your mind. You have a question, ask me a question. You have feedback, tell me that feedback. You want to insult me, you can insult me. You want to send compliments, you can compliment me. Whatever the case may be, you can do that in the Google Forms document. So if you want to say something to us and so on, just use that Google Forms document, let us know, and I'll read it. Use it, it's there for a reason. And most important thing from everything I've been saying right now, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. If it wasn't for Patreon, I doubt I would be, starting a new podcast series about Call of Duty. But here we are. Patreon is not only there to support me as a content creator or a podcast host, but it's there for you to enjoy the extra juicy content that we make over there. The obvious thing, of course, regardless what tier you subscribe, you will get early access to future Locked On Player episodes ad-free, meaning if you listen to us on Patreon or Patreon Spotify, because you can connect Patreon to Spotify, you won't be hearing this housekeeping bit on Patreon, and you will go straight to the meat and potatoes of the episode. And anyone that subscribes to the main tier of the Patreon, you will also get access to our exclusive Patreon podcast called Live Gaming Gathering Extra. And it's a podcast series where me and my friends make it 2-3 times a month, where me and them just gather around and talk about video games. We are gamers, we have a lot of things to say, we always talk about video games no matter what, especially when me and my friends either worked in the gaming industry or still being active to this day. For example, I worked at Sony PlayStation in video publishing, and I was doing a moderator for the Battlefield franchise at one point for certain games. And while my friend Ray is a voice actor that is featured in Hunt Showdown just recently. And because we have so much experience, in the gaming industry, we just want to talk about all the time, because serious or not serious. And if it's one of the best episodes we ever do, because it's just us being us. We're being ourselves, and the support we've been getting on Patreon is very amazing. If you enjoy Lockdown Player, then I recommend to check out Patreon for extra content you might be seeking. And if you're not interested in the podcast, that's all good. We have other behind the scenes live streams and some other longer videos that are available on my YouTube channel. There's always something for everyone on Patreon. So that was the plan on Patreon, to create something for everyone to enjoy. And if you're not sure about supporting us and you have no idea if it's worth it, we offer a free trial for gold tier subscribers. Because we believe that we're making some amazing content. We believe that you will stay after the free trial ends. If you want to listen to all the content while the free trial is going, that's all fine. I just believe that we make it some amazing work. I will not be offering free trial if I do not believe that our work is not good enough for you to pay for it. And it's there for a reason, to test the water, see how it is, and I hope you will enjoy it. And here's a small clip from our last episode we posted recently, so just so you know, get an idea what you expect on the Patreon. I'm gonna do it myself, I'm gonna record myself, I don't rely on external factors that I can't control.
So I'm gonna collect the checks, bitch!
Yeah, pretty much. Like, listen, how many opportunities I can give to these people, or anyone in that matter? No, seriously, how many opportunities I can give?
Ingrates, I'm giving you all the financial opportunities in the world, and you're not taking it.
No, literally. How many times I offered?
So many last second chances.
Yes. So how many fucking times I can? Listen, you don't have to do anything. Just be there, please. Just be there. They can't even do that.
I feel so bad about this because I can't ever get free time on my schedule in order to even fucking play COD to be able to talk about it. But then again, I'm on a Battlefield podcast and I haven't touched that game in a year.
Yeah, but that's Battlefield. Who gives a shit?
That's true. That's Battlefield.
Yeah, so every time I want to, when I ask people, please just be there, right? Just be there. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to record. Just sit down, relax, and just talk. That's it. No, I can't even do that. Remember when I told you when Agent fucking ruined the audio? Patreon.com/the Lanky Soldier. I hope I'll see you there. Alright, my fellow casuals and sweatlords. Let's talk about Call of Duty. There's some news. There's some news, but I don't think it's anything important. One of the news, for example, is Raven and Sledgehammer Games already deployed a patch that is supposed to fix the sprinting and reloading bug that was happening in the game. And the reason why it happened is because the changes happened in multiplayer last week. So naturally it affects Warzone somehow because they're basically the same client. But there's nothing to talk about. The fix is deployed and that's kind of it. That's the end of story. There's news about the Microsoft laying off a lot of people again, including shutting down some studios. Now the Call of Duty ones, but there's loads of drama about it. We might talk about it on Patreon actually because it's quite big. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is because with all the news that came out with Microsoft laying off people in studio, closing down studios and so on, a piece of information that got slipped is that Xbox Game Pass did not see growth they were expecting, and there's a big chance that the new Call of Duty game that is coming out later this year, Black Ops 6 or whatever it's called, won't be available on Game Pass day one, as a majority of people speculated originally, including me. I mean, there's a whole conversation here entirely, and I'm just gonna leave this to the next episode or Patreon, because I have a lot of things to say about it, and it will be like a 3-hour long podcast if I start talking about it, but I'm just gonna mention this, and I'm just not mentally prepared for it now. So I'm just gonna say this. Long story short, my opinion is Black Ops 6, or whatever the next Call of Duty game is called, on Game Pass day one, will be such a win for Microsoft and gamers, because you might not have, a $70 entry fee to enter the game. On paper, that's a lot of money that is lost, sure. But suddenly your player base numbers have doubled, if not tripled or quadrupled, depending, because of the low entry barrier that is Game Pass. You already have Warzone that is free to play. You already have the store and everything set up. You already have the infrastructure to make billions, which they are making. If you can actually double your player base numbers, you're not only inviting more people to play your game, you're already making more money from the microtransactions that are not that micro anyway. $20 for a skin bundle, that is almost 30% of the game price if we go in with a $70 purchase. That's not including the extra editions and so on. There's like $100 or whatever. That's a lot. And people buy these bundles. For example, I did buy some of the bundles because I believe if you really enjoy a free-to-play game, I did pay for the multiplayer, but if you enjoy the free-to-play game and you don't feel like you're being abused or anything, it's okay to spend some money. I see no problem with that, because at the end of the day, it's a free-to-play game. There's no pay-to-win mechanics. It's all cosmetics. I mean, sure, it's a completely different conversation entirely, but I think it's fair to spend money on cosmetics when you don't pay anything, and it's a free-to-play, and servers need to be, kept somehow. I mean, sure, it's a multi-billion company, with loads of profit and everything, but that's not the point. The point is, it's a free entry to play the game. And if you double or quadruple your player base with Game Pass, they can get their money back so freaking easy if you don't have that $70 entry fee. They really should just stop focusing on loss of their couple percent of their revenue from that quarter. Like my dudes, if you're still making billions, if your expenses are, I get that the expenses are quite high too, but you're still making a profit. You're making a freaking profit. After all the revenue and expenses and salaries calculated, you're making profit. That is pure cash you have, and you can spend on anything you want without firing anyone, without closing down studios. You can bring back Bobby Kotick back and whip his, just wipe his ass with that money that you just made in that quarter, and you still will be fine, minus your weird ass kings being public. But you get the point. You will still have the profit. We're talking about quarter profits. This is not like a profit in like a couple of years. This is the money they make in every fucking quarter, every 3 months. And Microsoft is laying off people and so on because some reasons. We don't see the all-time growth or whatever. It's just, sure, it's a different topic entirely. You can talk about capitalism or how everything works these days, but anyway, I just want to mention that it's just game publishers and corporations are so deep in their asses with the layoffs and studio closures these days. So a lot of people losing their jobs and so on. Some studios that did not even have a chance to release anything before they got shut down. A perfect example just happened at EA. EA closed down a studio called Ridgeline Studios. And if you never heard of Ridgeline Studios, I will not blame you, because the studio was open 2 years ago and they closed the studio just 2 months ago. And they were meant to make a Battlefield single-player game, or a single-player for the next Battlefield game. 2 years later, before they even showed anything, they got shut down because reasons, It's just, gaming industry has a cancer, and sometimes it feels like no one's trying to address it until it's too late. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this topic for the next episode or Patreon, because there's a lot to unpack here. But today the main focus is Call of Duty Warzone, the state of it, how the game performs these days, positives, negatives, and what the future holds for us as players. But first I need to add some background or context, because we can't compare or analyze the current state without comparing it to what came before. So before I do that, let me have a sip of water. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Warzone 1, back in the day. It was easy, simple, controls felt great, winning felt rewarding as time went on. People got better as time went on, and people started to discover cheese tactics, cheese gameplay elements like slide canceling, how we can break cameras, and movement mechanics that basically give ourselves advantages. Like that's a natural state of any video game when it comes out, and it's been up for many, many years. People find the most optimal ways to get better, how to gain advantages over other players, and so on. So Warzone 1 itself was a great experience. I'm not talking about COVID or the people stayed playing. Overall, just with ignoring that, as a product, as a video game, Warzone 1 was really fantastic video game. Of course, as time went on, there were too many guns, the implementation of Cold War and Vanguard was really messy, and I think that's what started basically the low-key downfall of Warzone. Because originally Warzone was part of Modern Warfare universe. Only Modern Warfare weapons, lore, gunplay, gameplay, whatever you want to call it, and so on. It made sense back then, and that's why I think a lot of people loved Warzone that much. Not because it was of course it was a really good game and everything back then. Call of Duty Battle Royale, that was unthinkable. I don't think anyone was really that excited until you play Call of Duty Warzone. Wait, I'm sorry, I got really itchy. I really need to itch myself. Okay, anyway, so Warzone was a fantastic game back then. It was stuck. It was a Modern Warfare universe type of deal. But as soon as you start including Cold War and Vanguard, storylines or whatever you want to call it, guns and everything, it just became a bit too much. A bit, too many guns, too much things to consider. It just became a mishmash of random shit put together, and I understand why it happened, but it was a really forced implementation into the game and so on, and we kind of needed a reset. We kind of needed that reset. Which is not a bad thing if you think about it, like when you have different implementations of, say, Cold War, Vanguard, and Modern Warfare all mashed together, it kind of keeps things fresh, and it keeps things, the game evolves, which is a natural thing for the game. But at the same time, you kind of alienate the people that enjoy your video game. So it just depends how you approach this, and finding that balance of finding fresh and somewhat consistent. It's even hard for established games like Fortnite or Apex Legends. And of course, that's why you have Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0 in the first place, because that was supposed to be the new era for Call of Duty, a game that is built basically for Warzone. Good idea on paper, but terrible execution. But I understand why they were trying to go with Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0. They looked at the problems Warzone 1 had. They did their best to address those problems. I mean, a lot of people love slide canceling and everything, but the slide canceling is a symptom of a bigger problem. Why not have a limited tag sprint? You don't need slide canceling to reset your tag sprint if tactical sprinting is always on. I remember someone mentioned why multiplayer mechanics should be exactly the same as multiplayer. When it does, multiplayer mechanics same as Warzone. It doesn't really make sense on the bigger picture, because Warzone is a bigger map, different type of gameplay and so on. So having a limited tag sprint would not be a bad idea, honestly. Slide canceling will not be such an important deal, and people will probably, abuse it less. I know there was a big marketing shtick for Modern Warfare 3. Slide canceling is back and so on, and it doesn't reset tag sprint and so on. But then again, I don't know. It's a completely different conversation entirely. But that's what Warzone 2.0 tried to address. They looked at Warzone 1 problems, because Warzone 1, at the end of its life cycle, was really sweaty, not in a good way, because of the broken mechanics that people started to figure out how to break. Slide canceling was just a mandatory thing. There were too many guns and so on, and just everything was just not making sense, So clearly they need a reset. They need some sort of a fresh start. and also the file size. It's quite amazing that Activision never knew that Warzone will be such a success, and the game was not, the Warzone 1, no matter how much I loved Warzone 1, it was never built for long-term success. So that's why Warzone 2, or Warzone 2.0, whatever you want to call it, was built. The way it was built and everything, because it was, this time, Warzone was built to sustain long-term success. Of course, with that, it's an admirable idea, what they tried to do, but clearly the execution was not great. Slower movement, more traditional battle royale mechanics, but there's a reason why people loved Warzone in the first place, because it was so different from every other BR, because it was just Call of Duty BR, and that's what people loved. They loved Call of Duty and they loved Battle Royale, and when you combine them to make it a Call of Duty BR, it was fast, it was simple, and it was quick. We don't want to play another Battle Royale game, because there's other Battle Royale games that do Battle Royale things, and if we want to play those, we play those. We play Call of Duty and Warzone for Call of Duty, we play for the specific thing that is Warzone, loadouts and everything. And speaking of Warzone 2, backpack system. In Warzone 2, backpack was a huge problem, and our loot was inside backpacks. Anyone remember when Warzone 2.0 came out, and to loot a player, you had to go to inside their backpack and loot, which is, I understand what they were going with, because maybe stop, because there was complaints about loot spreading everywhere and everything got mishmash and everything's got lost in the pile. I understand why the backpack was implemented. I understand the idea behind it, but you can't at the same time remove the thing that made Call of Duty Call of Duty. Call of Duty was a fast-paced, simple Battle Royale, since 2019, since Verdansk. And suddenly you add this realistic mechanic with the backpack and everything, basically slowing down the game, and it's not good. It's good on paper, but when I played it, I did not like it. Even though I liked the idea behind it, I did not like it whatsoever. But it's an entirely different topic, but it was not good. It was the game was really slow and everything. It was not good. For example, I have a friend that, for example, liked the slower type of gameplay, because less jumping around, all that kind of stuff. It's more not realistic, but more manageable in terms of gameplay. It was it was predictable in a good way, and my friend liked that. But even he felt something was wrong. Even though he enjoyed the game a lot, there was something missing in the game that he could not explain. I think that's what he was trying to explain, or understand. That he was missing that sharp Call of Duty experience that we used to. And with Warzone 2.0, it was not there. Al-Mazrah was not a bad map. It was plagued with problems that were meant to be fixes. And it's funny that alone kind of stopped my girlfriend, for example, from playing Warzone, because she enjoyed Warzone 1 a lot. But Warzone 2 was even too slow for her, and she doesn't really play first-person shooters. If it was too slow for her, I can only imagine how other players felt, that play Call of Duty on a more regular basis. We also got finally ranked in Battle Royale. It came in Warzone 2.0, but I'm glad it finally came. And honestly, regardless of the problems that we had with Warzone 2.0 and even with the tiny fixes they did, it was a really fun experience. Battle Royale Ranked was a really fun experience. I really, really want to play. Well, we're going to talk about it later, but it was a really good experience. But clearly with Warzone 2.0, something happened during the development. Maybe the focus was somewhere else. And honestly, Warzone 2.0 probably needed more time to be cooked. They probably need more time in the oven, And now we are at Modern Warfare 3. A lot of time has passed. A lot of problems were fixed, and we're in the stage where Warzone 2, or just Warzone, where developers are feeling confident about the foundation of the game. This will be the future going forward. This game that we're playing right now, Call of Duty Warzone, this game is definitely built for long-term success. And I have a feeling we might not be getting a new Warzone even when Modern Warfare 4 is coming out, in 3 years. But that's the feeling I get, because the way this game is built, it does feel like this game is built for success in the long term. It's like, and they finally have the tools, like you can tell with Modern Warfare 3 and so on, they finally have the tools inside development, like, listen, it was not perfect start with Modern Warfare 2, we get it, but finally we have the tools, or whatever, some sort of, the way they handle, make content, or whatever development is happening, whatever they have inside, they finally feel confident about making that kind of stuff, or making big changes to the game, because they have a good foundation now, so, which is really important for the future of any video game, honestly. If you want to have a perfect live service that lasts you for many, many, many years, you need tools and foundation to have, some that you can easily change. If you change something, the whole game doesn't fall apart, and that's really important thing. And I have a feeling that a lot of developers finally have the tools and the resources to do whatever they want without breaking everything entirely. There was probably a lot of discussions, a lot behind the scenes work to make sure that everything is working fine as it's supposed to. And yeah, that's how I feel about Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone right now, that it's built for the future. I don't think we're gonna have, even though I have a feeling we're gonna have some sort of reset with the new Black Ops 6 game, or whatever that's called. I have a feeling we're gonna have some sort of reset happening, but I don't think it's gonna be a hard reset as we had back in, with Warzone 1, Warzone 2. This is still gonna be Warzone. This is still gonna be the same client as Black Ops 6 or whatever the case be. This is what's gonna happen. Modern Warfare, as soon as Black Ops 6 is gonna be out and Season 1 starts, we're gonna switch to the Black Ops 6 client, so you can transition from Black Ops 6 to Warzone more, freely as you used to with Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. That's what's gonna happen. That's kind of obvious, because Modern Warfare 3 was indicator of that's what's gonna happen. And it's I think the game is in a good spot. I think it's honestly, I think it's one of the best experience we have regarding Warzone. I think that even with all the best moments we had in Warzone 1, I think right now Call of Duty Warzone is in a better state than Warzone 1 ever was, because we have a lot of content, a lot of maps to play with. We have great multiplayer maps that you can level up your weapons and whatever, but that's a different topic entirely. I think Warzone is a good spot, but we're gonna talk about negatives in a second. But I think it's the best spot. It's just, and it's even inviting other people to join back, because look, listen, I'm not a big fan of Rebirth Island or whatever, but people love it, people enjoy it, and that's important. We're finally getting this old stuff that we missed from previous game, and it's nice to play on those maps again. But yeah, I really think that Warzone, whatever this Warzone is the best Warzone we had to date, for many, many reasons. But of course, it's not perfect. It's not even close. There's so many problems that we need to address. And for example, one of them, like I can talk about the negatives now. Wait, I need to have a quick sip of water. We can talk about the negatives now. For example, Warzone 2.0, or Warzone, shooting is sadly still doesn't feel as good as Modern Warfare 2.19 or Warzone 1 felt back in the day. I don't know what, if it's the visual recoil, or is it the statistics on the guns, whatever that is, I can't explain. It's something that I don't think anyone can explain unless you work directly at one of the Activision studios and you've seen the numbers or how the game was designed, whatever. Something about the shooting still doesn't feel as good as Modern Warfare 2.19 or Warzone 1. I can't explain why. Something about it doesn't feel as good as back then. It's still one of the best shooting mechanics we have ever compared to other video games, for example. Compared to other video games, out there, to the competition, Warzone entirely right now just feels really great. Even if we compare it to Warzone 1. I still think Warzone 1 was amazing, but something about Warzone 2 or current Warzone is not that good regarding shooting. I just don't know what, but something doesn't feel like. Maybe it's the visual recall, maybe the statistics, maybe the numbers. God freaking knows. I don't know. Something doesn't feel right, and maybe they can get better with Black Ops 6, We'll see, but that's how I feel about the current shooting mechanics in the game. And also, I think the game is a bit too fast sometimes, but only a little. Listen, I love when, okay, I love Titanfall 2, for example. I love all the movement mechanics that make you go faster and more intelligently and so on, and like, you can be really good in a fast-paced shooter. I love Titanfall 2, and when Call of Duty is trying to be like, smooth and everything, fast, I get that because it's Call of Duty, it's supposed to be like that. But I think in certain sections, the game is a bit too fast. But only a little. But with certain problems, like with the movement and everything, movement is still, like the actual movement of the game is still really, really, really good. But there's certain bits that something is too fast and something doesn't feel right. Like, I can't explain, but same with the shooting thing. It's so many variables and so many things happening in the background of how the game feels. You just can't point a finger at one certain thing and just say, oh yeah, that's why. There's so many things that you just can't explain, and none of it probably makes sense. It just, I don't know, sometimes the game feels a bit too fast. It could maybe slow down in certain sections. So, I just can't explain it. Like, it feels good, but something doesn't feel right. Aim assist, of course. Oh my god, aim assist. Aim assist being that good is not helping anyone. I'm sorry. Like, I was really indifferent about aim assist back in Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone 1 and so on. And crossplay is definitely the best thing they ever did to Call of Duty. I'm sorry, hands down, I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill that crossplay is the best thing they ever did for Call of Duty. But aim assist being this strong is not only hurting your competitive scene, but it's hurting casual players in the long run. Like, aim assist these days is such a fucking joke. It's like, I remember, like, all the best players play on controller because keyboard and mouse players can't compete against a piece of software that plays 50% for you. You're trying to play a game, but the game plays you. I don't know if I don't know how they can make. Well, I know how can make it low to make this aim assist a bit, less powerful. But I know it's not that easy as it sounds. But as a keyboard and mouse player, it's really, really hard to compete against against controller players, because we humans don't have that kind of time reaction time, to what we're dealing with. Like, the software, the aim assist software, is just aims for you at the enemy, and the keyboard and mouse player just has no chance to do anything, because, like, how fast can we react to that, to the machine? We're talking milliseconds here. And the aim assist just aims for you. Like, sure, it's a completely different topic entirely, but I think aim assist these days, it's way too strong, way too abusive, and what annoys me most, the keyboard, like the best players in the world, the ones that use keyboard, use controller, they should be demanding aim assist to be less powerful, because it doesn't show the true skill of a player when the software is aiming for you. How's that fair to anyone? It's not fair to anyone. And all the best players, your Call of Duty League players, whatever, they should be demanding to make aim assist less powerful, because it doesn't represent true skill. They should be, and it will be bad for the competitive scene. It will be bad for them. It will be bad for everyone. It doesn't make anyone happy. The only people that are happy is the people that can abuse, lower rank players or whatever the case may be. But they're gonna be abusing them regardless. So it doesn't change anything. It just make more power. It just make bad players more powerful and shitty players less shitty. Not less shitty, more shitty. Aim assist is there. It makes me angry. Like, every time I watch a kill cam and I see, like, oh yeah, of course I died to aim assist. Of course. Even though I had no time to react to that, gunfight and under any circumstances. And I consider myself pretty good. I'm not the best, don't get me wrong. I'm not CDL ready or esports ready, whatever. sometimes I like, what do you want me to do? I can't do anything. That's why my gameplay sometimes is very passive, because I don't want to fight indoors, because I know I'm gonna get outgunned by an aim assist, no matter how good I am. It's just normal human thing. That aim assist these days is really insane, and Activision really need to do something, and because it's getting really, really ridiculous. And speaking of being ridiculous, skill-based matchmaking. Like, okay, at first I did not mind it, because we do need skill-based matchmaking, but these days skill-based matchmaking, I don't know, something, it became really, really bad, very, very aggressive, really, really to a T, and the people trying to like find ways how to fight the system, how to fight the skill-based matchmaking algorithm, how you get matchmaking to games. For example, there's a new thing called two boxing, so you basically have a really brand new shitty account you matchmake together with your normal account, and then as soon as it finds the match and the map is loading, you disconnect that low level account from the party, and you basically get thrown into bot lobbies, and people finding ways how to abuse that system, how to get these kind of bot lobbies and so on, to get like personal kill streaks, or get 40, 50 kills, or whatever the case may be. And so like, this is just getting really, really ridiculous. And I'm just thinking about the normal people, like me or anyone else, like just want to play Call of Duty, and you basically get matchmake against people your skill. Yes, that's the right thing to do, but sometimes you need a bit of leeway, a bit of variety in the skill levels between players and teams. You don't want to make it random. Don't get me wrong. You can't have that, because it just creates too many variables that becomes really not fun in the long run. You need skill-based matchmaking. That's a fact. You need skill-based matchmaking. But the way skill-based matchmaking works these days is just, it feels like it's there to punish good players, and it's not really good, and it just gets really frustrating and annoying. I can only imagine how frustrating it would be. Like, let's say my girlfriend starts to play with me. She doesn't play that much. She doesn't play that Warzone that much, and she's basically getting matchmake against players that are so much better than her, and she has basically no chance of fighting against them, and only I can like do my best to protect her. But what do you want me to do? I'm playing against my own skill level, if not better level players, and we basically, what do you want us to do, right? There needs to be some sort of like improvement to that, because it's really not fair. It's not fun. Something I can't explain, but it's just it's like when you're playing ranked, that's different. That's a completely different story. But when you're playing pubs and everything, it's just like a bit of variety would be great. It doesn't have to. I understand we need skill-based matchmaking, but I understand the comments when people say it's too sweaty. It is kind of too sweaty sometimes, and it's not great in the long run, because come on, we just want to have fun. A bit, you can have that in ranked, like it makes sense, but it's just like relax a little bit, just a little bit, so people can have fun, because not everyone can play 24/7 and get good. Needs a bit of like freedom, but that's skill-based matchmaking. I think there's way too many guns in Call of Duty Warzone right now. I think there's way too many guns. We need some sort of new filtering system to make these guns different, more easy to understand, because are we expecting to be adding new guns with each new game, like we did in Warzone 1, which they kind of doing with Warzone 2 now, or Warzone? Are we expecting that, like, as soon as Black Ops 6 comes out, do we just expect them to add it to the list? Just like drop it in the list and call it a day? No, I really don't think that's the correct way of doing it, because it's already overwhelming with so many attachments, with so many guns, and that's me. I by Call of Duty standards, I'm considered to be a hardcore player. By Activision standards, I'm a hardcore player. I'm the whale, or whatever the case may be, and I get overwhelmed with so many weapons, so many attachments. So you can only imagine how people that play once a week or once a month, imagine how do they feel? You know, they and you think they're gonna come back after they haven't played for so long. They come back and there's like so many guns and so many attachments and everything. Like, what do they do? And it's funny, like I just yesterday, a new game came out, Arena Breakout. It has a closed beta right now, and I got the key for it. There's a game called Arena Breakout Infinite, I think it's called, and it's basically an extraction shooter. Right? It's nothing to do with Call of Duty, but what I really love is how they handled the weapons. From the list, it doesn't look like you have a lot of weapons, right? But when you like go inside the weapon customization, and they have this gunsmith type of thing, but suddenly you can change like a receiver, an attachment, and everything, and suddenly it's a different gun. Suddenly it's not AK-47. It's not AK-47. It's some AK, some different variant of AK, and so on. And technically, Call of Duty already has that. You know, technically has that. And that's why I call a filtering system, even though it's the same gun, but it's not the same gun. You know, it's a different gun. And that's what Arena Breakout did. Like, they don't have a lot of weapons, but there's so much customization in those particular weapons. You can make any gun you want. You can make any, you can add attachments you want, and you can make a different type of weapon and so on, even though it's the same family. And I think that's what Call of Duty needs to do. Because, for example, how many Lachmans we have, how many tac weapons we have, and all that kind of stuff, like how many things we have that just basically make, you could make a filtering system like, hey, which gun you want to use? Oh, you want to use a Lachman? Okay, do you want to make that Lachman into a assault rifle or SMG or a DMR, a marksman rifle or whatever? They can do that. And maybe they will, I want to believe they will do it for Black Ops 6 or the next game, because it's just so much to go through. You need to make this easier for everyone, because it gets really overwhelming and it gets too much. So what they did in Arena Breakout Infinite, Arena Breakout Infinite, I like the idea what they did, and I think that's what Call of Duty needs, honestly. You need some sort of filtering system that makes it easy for you to understand what are you dealing with. So, maybe handle all the guns by their names, by their family names. You have your Lachmans, you have your tags, you have something else, and so on. And that way you can experiment with different builds and everything, and you can make guns a bit more interesting, because like, oh, suddenly I'm making the gun my own, And maybe you should remove the thing. It's like, oh, it's a SMG, or it's a AK, it's a AR, or it's a LMG. What doesn't matter. Just make it really customizable, like in that game, and make it like into some sort of field, because it's just so much. The map itself, let's talk about the playing field itself. Urzikstan. My feelings about Urzikstan haven't changed since the early days. It's not a bad map, but it's just kind of lame, kind of tame, I think the problem with Urzikstan is that it tries to replicate that Verdansk magic, and because it's trying to replicate that Verdansk magic, it kind of can't be its own thing, and that's why I think Urzikstan is, suffering. I mean, sure, it's suffering because we didn't get any changes for the last 2 seasons for big Battle Royale map. That's one of the things. But I think Urzikstan is suffering for being not unique enough. Like, no matter what you think about Caldera, no matter what you think about Al-Mazrah, at least these maps are unique in their own way. And change my mind, I don't think you will though, that Al-Mazrah was a good map. Al-Mazrah was plagued with a lot of problems outside the map. It's the game itself that was a problem. If they add Al-Mazrah to the playlist to be in rotation with Urzikstan, I think Al-Mazrah will be a much better play at the moment. It will be a much better map. People would enjoy Almazar more than Urzikstan. Because Urzikstan is like, it's a bit tame, everything looks the same, everything's like same shit, and like sometimes it's just empty of fields of nothing. It's just a very confusing map. And I'm just thinking, if Urzikstan, which was originally some sort of Mexico map, how's it called? Almas? Something. It was some sort of Mexican map, right? Clearly the same layout as it was from the leaks, and even in the game, if you play Modern Warfare 2 single player, there's a asset of it's a picture in the game, and it's a picture of the Uzbekistan map layout, right? And people are speculating, and probably correctly, that this was the next Warzone map layout. And they were correct, it was. But they changed the map to Uzbekistan, and a lot of things clearly changed. A lot of things got removed or changed, whatever, to make it more, close to Verdansk. And the map kind of suffered because of that. It's not unique. Uzbekistan is not unique. It's just a piece of land with loads of buildings. That's what Uzbekistan feels like, and it doesn't feel good, And I have like 8 wins in Battle Royale, even though I don't play BR that much for obvious reasons, even though I love BR for other reasons, because I think Battle Royale became Battle Resurgence or whatever. But apparently with my 8 wins in Battle Royale, it puts me in 3% of the player base. Keep in mind, I had over 100 wins in Verdansk, and that put me into 5% of the player base. So that tells me that a lot of people played Uzbekistan, but they got maybe their 1 win or 2 wins, or maybe don't even got a win entirely, and they just stopped playing the first month or 2. If 8 wins get me into the 3% of the player base, that means no one's playing this. Not a lot of people playing Battle Royale, and maybe that's why we have Resurgence non-stop, but that's because the map itself is not that good. Developers not adding anything to Battle Royale. They lowered the player numbers from 150 to 100, which was a big mistake, I think. At least increased to 120 is something. We definitely need more players in Battle Royale, because I don't think it feels good right now with 100 players. I think it feels too empty. I think I remove the stupid, what's it called? Tokens, gulag stuff, and everything. Please remove that, because it becomes really ridiculous. It's Resurgence on a big map and with less, barely with more players. It's not a good experience, And of course, the whole focus was for the last couple of seasons was on Resurgence, and I really don't like that, because I don't like Resurgence that much. I have friends who dislike Battle Royale with passion, for example, right now, and they rather play Resurgence, and Activision probably like, yeah, we want to appeal to this player because more casual players would rather play Resurgence than Battle Royale, which is fine. But that's because they, that friend of mine, he never liked Battle Royale to begin with. He disliked it back in Warzone 1 with Verdansk. He still dislikes it right now, even though he says Verdansk was the best thing ever. So, I guess it's easy to look at a different perspective when you time passed. In hindsight, it's easy to analyze this. But hey, what I don't like about Battle Royale now, they made Battle Royale into Resurgence Light, hence why Battle Royale feels really bad right now. And also, Resurgence exclusive contracts and mechanics, all that kind of stuff. There's a new contract that came out where you can see the future circles, only in Resurgence. Utility box, only in Resurgence. Specific kill streak, only in Resurgence. Why? It's those type of things you could add in Battle Royale normal, and it will be just fine. I don't understand why is it so difficult to add that kind of stuff into Battle Royale when you have it in Resurgence. What's the I talked about last episode, all the VED effects and everything. Why not add it to Battle Royale? Jesus fucking Christ. Add it. It's just, why is everything so exclusive to one particular mode? I don't want to play for that particular mode. The only reason I played Resurgence Ranked is because that's the only thing we have ranked. We don't have Battle Royale Ranked. Also, Battle Royale Ranked, where is it? Where's Battle Royale Ranked? If it's not in Season 4, what the fuck we doing then? I know you said later this year. So I want to believe, because you said later this year, that was back in February, if you say later this year, I hope it's to implement some sort of changes to make Battle Royale Ranked really good and more better, than Ranked Resurgence. Because Ranked Resurgence did showcase how this SR system we have for Ranked is not good. It has a lot of flaws. Especially when you reach Diamond in Ranked Resurgence, it's a completely different game, and that's where the SR system completely breaks. In my honest opinion, if you're a really good player, and you think you deserve to play in iridescent, leagues and so on, yes, it's supposed to be hard to reach those ranks. Yes, it's supposed to be hard. Just like, you don't become a professional, sports athlete. It's for obvious reasons. But you should be able to do this solo, in a sense, or something. Because when you reach solo as a diamond player, you're basically being cannon fodder to the iridescent and top 250 players. It's not... sorry if you hear people talking in the background or construction workers. If you're good enough, you should be playing iridescent, but you should not be punished for playing by yourself, with shitty teammates. Just you get platinum, shitty diamond players that should not be there with you in the first place, but you're playing against iridescent players and 250 players that are team stacked, and they basically you just becoming cannon fodder for them because they need SR, because their entry fee to play in the game is like almost 200 SR, if not even, maybe it is 200. It's not fair to the players that actually want to compete, So I want to believe that the reason why Battle Royale Ranked is delayed is because they're changing how the system works in the like. I want to believe that's what they do. They're trying to make the system much fairer, much better. I want to believe. Or it was delayed because they knew that Resurgence Ranked is a thing, and it's just to spread the content around. Also could be true. I'm just saying that if we don't get anything for Battle Royale Ranked for Season 4, then I think we're not getting Battle Royale Ranked until Verdansk is out. Allegedly, Verdansk is out. So when Black Ops 6 gonna drop and so on. That's my prediction. If we're not getting anything for Season 4, we're not getting anything for the rest of the seasons. That's the truth. Which I don't want to play Ranked Resurgence. I really hate Ranked Resurgence. I really hate it. I think I have like 12 wins this season in Ranked Resurgence, and I freaking hate it. It's just like I'm Diamond 1, and I'm done. I don't want to go beyond. I know I'm good enough to play in Crimson and Iridescent. I know I'm good enough, but I just cannot do it by myself. And my friends are not willing to sweat just like me to get to those ranks. Which is quite sad, but here we are. But that's the thing. The reason why I want to start this Call of Duty podcast in the first place, because I want to represent all the people that play Call of Duty. Not myself only, not my friends or whatever. Not only good players. I want to represent everyone. Whether you're playing this casually or you're playing this on a hardcore level. I want you to represent your voice when I'm talking in this podcast. That's the reason why I started this Call of Duty podcast, because I want to represent people of everyone that play Call of Duty. I want to hear your voices. I want to represent you, because it's not... Call of Duty is for everyone. A lot of people enjoy Call of Duty for many different reasons. And we can't just focus on one particular demographic and everyone can go fuck off. That's not okay. That's not okay in my eyes. And speaking of Ranked or anything related to Ranked, cheating became a really big problem in Call of Duty. And it's not just a Call of Duty problem, it's a gaming problem. It's because a lot of people in those high ranks, or even not even high ranks, a lot of people, it's so easy to get cheats, it's easy to buy cheats. For example, some Call of Duty players, professional Call of Duty players that play in CDL got banned because Activision found out that they were using a lock tool, to unlock a specific camo or whatever. Listen, as soon as you try to do that and don't earn it properly, use unlock tool to get a camo. What's stopping you from cheating in pubs or even in tournaments? What's stopping you? Exactly. You're one click away from cheating with an aimbot, or whatever the case may be. And cheat, cheats these days are so amazing in a bad way, as in like they have so many options and so much customization and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a proper software with so many options and everything, and just cheating these days is extremely easy, and people coming up with so many ways how to cheat is just, I don't think it's a losing battle. I understand the developers have to do their best to fight cheats, but I don't know what else they can do when people come up with some ridiculous ways how they can cheat in a video game. Well, I mean, one thing, if you're cheating in a multiplayer game in a rank mode and so on, go fuck yourself, seriously. Like, you're just a sad piece of shit. What are you doing? If you're cheating in a video game, just like, what are you doing? You cheating in a video game is literally just a representation of you cheating life or something like that. Like, you cheating in a video game, in a, let's say in Call of Duty or any other multiplayer game, you're making us mad, but deep down we know that you're just sad inside and you just want some sort of entertainment. You want some sort of attention. Like, for example, try to tell your significant other that you cheat a video game. You will sound like a fucking loser. And it's not your significant other being unreasonable. You're just a loser. That's what it is. Why would anyone would trust you when you cheat like that? You pay for cheats. Fuck off. But yeah, cheating these days is really bad. I don't know what they can do. They try their best to fight the cheats, but I don't know what they can do. It's just one of those things that it's a losing battle, but you have to keep trying. You need to find ways how to defeat cheaters and all this kind of stuff, because it's not fair to everyone else, because we just want to play we just want to play a video game without anything, without someone cheating in the background. It would be great. But as I said, all the negatives about Warzone current state, it's not all bad. Like I said, it's still one of the best Warzone experiences to this date. I still think Warzone right now is in a better state than Warzone ever was. Because, let's talk about the positives. Let's just quickly. There's clearly a system built here for long-term success. So I don't think we're gonna have a big reset again, at least not in the upcoming future. I don't think we're gonna have a reset in minimum 2, 3, 4 years or whatever the case may be. I think the game is built for longevity. That was the whole plan for Warzone 2.0. That the game was built for Warzone first, and I presume they predicted, hey, because this is gonna be a long outgoing thing. The way we designed the game, the way we coded the game, is designed to have loads of skins, loads of guns, loads of maps, all that kind of stuff, and keep the the storage of the game or the size of the game somewhat reasonable. And I think that's what Warzone 2.0 was originally. It was like supposed to be like the redesign, just to make sure that Warzone is a long-lasting project that is being successful and so on. So yeah, I think the whole main positive of current Warzone, that it is built for success. That's why we have Fortune's Keep back, we have Rebirth Island back, and now we're gonna have Verdansk back, and that sounds great. That sounds great. Now we're coming back to the old thing that we used to love back in Warzone 1, but somewhat improved in a better state. We still have loads of variety of weapons, even though I think it's too many of them. And like I said in the, was it 10, 15 minutes ago, about Arena Breakout Infinite, if you can do, some sort of filtering system and present the guns in a different way that's not overwhelming and not too confusing and everything, maybe you can add more guns in different variety. Like, we already have a lot of variety. Sure, you can talk about metas, about 3-4 weapons that are the best weapons and so on, but it's a balance issue, all that kind of stuff. But we need it's nice to have like that. We have a variety of weapons that's so different from each other and so on. Even though, again, metas, I get it. You need some sort of filtering system. And with new guns coming out with Black Ops 6, we definitely need something to present these guns differently. So I hope they can figure out how to do it, because it's nice to have all these different weapons, all the different camos, all that kind of stuff. It's amazing. But again, it's a presentation thing, it's a filter thing. Yeah. Another thing I want to maybe mention or talk about too much, but skins, for example, how you guys feel about skins? I heard a lot of comments that skins are very ridiculous and just dumb and so on. But at the same time, I kind of understand. Well, one, they sell. The ridiculous skins in Call of Duty Warzone do sell. And I do like some ridiculous ones myself once in a while. But I do understand that sometimes it gets really bit too ridiculous, and it's like suddenly you don't have the team anymore, you don't have the art design anymore. Like, well, not the design, what was the artistic consistency with that particular game. So Modern Warfare 3, you would imagine like real life soldiers, like something more realistic, something more grounded. But we have a Godzilla collab and all that kind of stuff. So, like, I understand the frustration maybe people have. Like, I just want to play a aesthetically pleasing Call of Duty game that makes sense for a Call of Duty game. But suddenly we have like this magic flames, blue flames, animated characters, a dinosaur, a cat, or a Snoop Dogg, and was it that's a high slot that smoked too much weed or something like that. I understand that. I'm sorry if you hear a sign in the background. It's just living in London, the best thing ever. I understand if the skin's a bit too much for people. I fully get that. But I don't know. I'm indifferent. I in a positive way. I think it's just because they're so more creative and they're more unique from everything else, and I think that's great. But I understand why they're so goofy and so on, because how many times you can make the same semi-realistic soldier non-stop, and you have to push this for many years. I think I had this conversation on Patreon. I think, trying to remember which episode, maybe episode 26 or 27, one of those. And it was me and Ray talking about Battlefield cosmetics. And we had this exact conversation, so you should check it out. I think what you'll see in the description. So check it out, patreon.com/Lanky Soldier. There's one of the episodes where we talked about. So I'm not going to talk about too much here now. But I think that a bit ridiculous sometimes, but I think it could be much worse. I think. Jury's out on that. I'm 50-50 about that. I still prefer the more realistic skins, but yeah. I mean, I'm glad they're being more creative, but yeah. Also, I have to give props to Warzone right now. For example, with this new season, they're encouraging to play together. Land together, fight together. You get rewards. Whether you give like a UAV or something like that, you get more money, you get something else. And that's great. I'm glad that they're adding mechanics for people to play together. Or when you're in a party with a friend, you get like XP bonus, 25% XP bonus for weapons and your general level. And if you have like another friend, you have like Battle Pass XP and so on. And that's great. I love that. Like, can we have more? I mean, sure, they're adding skins right now where you can actually like, if both of you own the same skin or something like that, or the same set, or in the same set, you get like double XP and so on, which is great. I mean, I like that when the game encourages you to play with friends. That's great. I mean, I got nothing else to add. That's fine. LTMs are fantastic. I think the LTMs this year have been really good. They're very unique and weird and quirky in the same way. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad, but that's not the point. LTMs are there to be weird and experimental, and that's the thing. I'm glad they do that. LTMs are fantastic. Events and rewards with with those events are really good. If you're a free-to-play player, you never paid, for multiplayer, or you don't pay for skins in Warzone or whatever the case may be, events are there with rewards, and the rewards are really fantastic and good. Regarding the events they had for Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone, this year is fantastic, and I hope they're gonna continue as time goes on because it's really good. Perk system, I'm kind of growing on that. I think perk system right now is in a really good spot because it does give a bit of creativity and so on. Maybe we could have a bit more different variety of perks on top, but I think perk system is in a good spot. It kind of grew on me now. I disliked it back in Warzone 2, but right now I think it's in a good spot. I don't hate it. I don't mind it. I think it's somewhat fair and good. And yeah, I have nothing else to say. I think it's in a good spot, and I hope we're gonna continue with that as time goes on because I think it's a good idea that they're in packages and everything, and you can make your own custom ones. I think it's fine. I think it's in a good spot. I think it's fine. I have no big complaints yet regarding that. Audio, for example, audio is really good. Don't get me wrong, not perfect. There's a lot of things that are not perfect, but audio regarding footsteps, all that kind of stuff, is in a respectable spot. On Rebirth Island, it's really bad. On Urgzistan, it's really good. It's still a bit confusing once in a while. Are they above you, or they're below you, or they're on the left or right, whatever the case may be. It gets a bit confusing because the way the audio is working. But compared to what we had in Warzone 1, audio it's in a really good spot right now. I have to say it. It's in a really good spot. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about audio. Audio, I think, is in a good spot, and not much I can say about it. I know I said cheating is really bad these days. You know how the cheats are working and everything. But I had to give props to Ricochet, for example, one for existing, and two, how they abuse the cheaters. And it's quite funny sometimes, like how cheaters get exposed, like streamers get exposed or whatever because they cheated and everything, and it's just like so many mitigations, to prevent those cheaters from cheating ever again. Of course, people say, why don't you ban them instantly? Well, the point is, if you ban them instantly, they will just make a new account, and if you can stall that account creation as long as possible, that kind of does save a lot of time for people, to cheat more. And we want to slow down cheats. We don't want cheaters in the game. And if slowing them down, making a new account from cheating again is creating mitigations for that, that's fine. I'm okay with that. As long as and honestly, yes, cheaters are going ham these days. But I don't think it is as bad as it was in Verdansk with, Warzone 1. I really don't think. I had to deal with a cheater almost every game back in Verdansk, like before Cold War came out. I think it was before Cold War came out. Maybe even before Caldera came out. That's where cheats were really, really bad. And it was really, really bad. And I'm just glad that there's a system is there to prevent from cheaters being fucking absolute douchebags. It's a start, don't get me wrong. It's not perfect, and I don't think it will ever be perfect, but I'm glad it's there on exposing the cheaters, and that's really a big important thing. And to end the positives of Warzone, I would say I'll throw this away. Warzone, World Series of Warzone, I think it's a good event that deserves our attention. Just the idea that me or someone else can make a team and we can compete, and maybe if we're good enough, we can be, qualified through their qualifications and everything, and maybe participate in the World Series of Warzone, in the finals on everything, on LAN, and compete for money. I think World Series of Warzone itself, I think, is a really amazing event. I think it's more entertaining than Call of Duty League. Well, it's clearly more entertaining because, for example, last year's World Series of Warzone got more audience, bigger numbers than any CDL at that point. So it was smashing records in terms of, viewership. So clearly there's something there that people really enjoy. And yeah, World Series of Warzone, I think, is a really amazing event. It deserves our attention. It's kind of weird that they said nothing about it for this year. So we'll see if that's happening or not. But I think it's a good event that deserves our attention. I think Microsoft should pay attention to that a lot and do something about it, because it's an amazing event. Of course, improve it. Don't get me wrong. There's so many things that you can improve. You know how the ranking system works and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I think it's a really entertaining event, and they should continue with that. That's all I'm saying. And what's it called? Solo yellow type of thing at the end of the event, just solos match for I can't remember, 50k or something like that. It's just so goofy and fun. It's really interesting, and I hope they're gonna continue with that, because I think it's a really interesting event that basically showcases the best parts of Warzone, and I think that's lovely. But yeah, that's me talking about current Warzone right now. Not gonna talk about too much, but I'm just gonna say what I want for the future of Warzone. What I want for the future to be like for Warzone. So I won't say much, because nothing's gonna come to my mind instantly right now, but I have a couple of things in my mind that maybe they could do in the next couple of months. For example, I want them to filter the guns somehow differently, because like I said, it gets a bit too much. I think there's too many attachments. I think there's way too many guns, and certain attachments are useless because certain attachments have bad stats. So maybe make certain attachments include cosmetics. Let's say maybe have 5 different underbarrel attachments, but you can select different skins for each of them. Make it a cosmetic thing, whatever the case may be, because I think it's way too much, way too ridiculous. It's just way too much. And it will be great if they have some sort of new filtering system. Like I said, maybe separate guns into here's a Lachman, here's a tag, and here's something else. Maybe that way. I hope they can do something about it with the Black Ops 6 or whatever the next game is called. Maybe they can filter the guns a bit better. That would be great. I want Al-Mazrah back in rotation before we have Verdansk back. So I really want to play Al-Mazrah with Modern Warfare 3 mechanics, with these new weapons and everything. I want to play that map again. Maybe change the skybox. Maybe make it a bit different, right? Don't have the same sunny yellow map, because that pissed me off a little bit. Just have a different time of day from Al-Mazrah. Change it because you already have Al-Mazrah for the zombies. So why not just bring it back in rotation with, Uruzestan? Just bring it in rotation, please. Just bring it. If you're not gonna have ranked for Battle Royale, this year until the next game, at least bring Al-Mazrah back so we can let's experience it before you remove it and we go back to Verdansk. Just let me experience Al-Mazrah again, okay? That would be great. And like I said, I want to have multiple BR maps in rotation, like I said about this Al-Mazrah thing, including ranked. If ranked is coming, let's say this year, well, this year it's coming, but is it coming with this game or the next game? If it's coming with this game, I would love to have Al-Mazrah and Uruzestan in rotation for BR in ranked and pause. Please do that. That would be fantastic. And again, I would love to see ranked for Battle Royale. I want to see more change. I want to see more changes in Battle Royale and everything. This is how I'll go. If you don't have ranked for Uruzestan, at least bring Al-Mazrah. If you can't bring Al-Mazrah, at least give ranked. At least give something. Because, like I said before, Battle Royale right now is so neglected by Raven Software and Sledgehammer Games and anyone that is working on Call of Duty. There's nothing for big Battle Royale lovers. There's nothing. You might say the casuals love Resurgence and everything, but they always love Resurgence regardless if Battle Royale was good or not. Again, Verdansk exists. People loved Battle Royale, and there was no Resurgence until a year later, and people loved Battle Royale. And there's other Battle Royale games, Fortnite, Apex Legends, PUBG. They all doing their own thing, and they're very successful, and they're being battle royales. So when people say that battle royale is not fun or whatever, it's because they made it not fun. Raven Software and other studios, they made it not fun. It's not the mode itself that is the problem. It's the features they added to make the battle royale really unfun, or lack of features in that matter. Like I said, exclusive resurgence contracts or whatever the case may be. Why they're not in the normal battle royale? The reason people play resurgence more now is because there's only ranked on resurgence, and there's no changes or any additions to the battle royale maps since it came out. What, we have 2 ladders in Gulag, and that's the thing, that's a feature? I don't give a damn. I want changes. I need POI changes. I need location changes. I need like skybox changes. Something to make it different. If you're not doing ranked, at least do something different. Like add Almazar. You got nothing to lose at this point. You got nothing to lose. So please add something to make it, interesting. I'm sick of Resurgence. Resurgence is such a brain dead mode. I'm sorry, I can't anymore. I mean, that's me, of course. If you enjoy Resurgence, play Resurgence. That's not a problem. There's no problem with Battle Royale and Resurgence existing at the same time and being unique from each other and still attracting the same audience. Back in the day, I played Resurgence because I liked Resurgence the way I liked Battle Royale. Even though Battle Royale was still my favorite, but I played Resurgence and I still had fun. Because I knew that I can always go back to Battle Royale and have fun there too. We can't do that anymore. And that's the problem. So, I really want... Also, I want to see if they can do any changes to Ranked Battle Royale. So, Ranked Battle Royale is coming. We just don't know when. And for what game. I just hope that they have some sort of different system that improves on the Battle Royale rank system that we had back in Almazra, because Ranked Resurgence this year showed that the rank system we have right now with the SR and everything that is going on is really broken as soon as you reach Diamond 1. As soon as you reach Diamond 1, it's a completely different game that is there to abuse you no matter what, unless you team stacked and you have friends that are good enough and so on. Don't get me wrong, it's supposed to be hard to reach Iridescent. It's supposed to be like that. That's the point. That's ranked. But there's clearly some sort of system that is not letting the good players, the actual good players, to be iridescent. And a lot of people get pushed into Diamond or Platinum way above the skill level. There's a lot of people that should not be in Diamond or Platinum. There's no freaking way they should be there. But somehow they are, and you get matchmake with them, and then you play against Iridescent and 250 players. It's not fun. It's really not fun. So the rank system right now is really broken on many levels. That is really not fun, and I don't think it's fair to anyone at this point. I really don't think it's fair. They really need to improve it. And I want to believe that the reason Ranked Battle Royale is delayed or taking so long to implement in the game is because they're doing changes to the SR system to make it more fair, more reasonable. I can only freaking hope. I don't know if it's copium. Let's see. We will see. But overall, Warzone right now is in a good spot, mechanics-wise, movement-wise. It's not perfect. It never will be. But it's in a good spot, and I think people should give Warzone a chance. And if you listen to this podcast you still listen to this episode, I believe I believe that you believe that Warzone is in a good state and it deserves a chance to be played. And it's, like I said, not perfect. There's loads of problems that need to be addressed. But because this game is built for long-term success, that started back in Warzone 2, maybe we can be in a really better spot as time goes on. And I think it will be. I think it can get as soon as Verdansk is out, I'm really curious how it's gonna go. It's gonna be a different experience, a lot of nostalgia will be shattered, but I still think it's gonna be a really fun experience, and I'm really curious to see. Overall, I really love Warzone. I always love Warzone. And I'll always be critical of Warzone. But I'll be honest, no matter the problems we dealt with Warzone 2, I think Warzone right now is in a good spot. Not perfect, but going to the right direction. And that's where I'm going to end the podcast. So, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for, for interacting with me. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. Thank you, interacting with the Google Forms document. Thank you for checking out the Patreon. Please leave a rating on the Spotify's and so on, because it does help out people to find the podcast. And yeah, I'm all by myself. I am planning to bring more people. I'm planning to bring people on the podcast. It's just, finding the right time and all that kind of stuff. And we also do other Patreon stuff and everything, so that takes a lot of time, and I'm still have to make YouTube videos. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I need to sort out before I can be confident of bringing people, but I did talk about it, and I'll try to bring more people on the podcast and so on, so we can have a discussion and all that kind of stuff. But until then, it's only me for now, so I'm just happy that you enjoy my ramblings. I'm just happy that you enjoy my discussions. Even if you hate my guts, and if you still hate my discussions, whatever, and you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. You can always stop listening, and that's fine. I'm not here to force you. It's like I just want to talk about Call of Duty. I just enjoy the discussion. I just really enjoy the whole premise of it, and I just love talking about video games. I just love video games. I love first-person shooters. I love Battlefield. I love Call of Duty, and I love other games. I just enjoy video games so much. I really want to talk about them, and people agree with my opinion, that's great. If people don't agree with my opinion, that's also fine. It's a discussion. I love discussions. I really love discussions. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna end the podcast. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for everything. Like I said, check out our socials, check out the Google Forms document, interact with me, check out our Patreon. If you do subscribe, please, interact with the Patreon and everything. Let me know about the feedback, whatever the case may be. Check out all the special episodes, the future episodes, and, get early access to that, whatever the case may be. I hope you're just enjoying everything I have to offer, and you're having a good time. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for interacting. And I'll see you in the next one. See you guys. Have a good time.